In today's tutorial, we are going to learn how to texture an eyeball. Because the modeling is simple and it is a sphere, the texturing is what we're going to be focusing on. In this is our final product and what we are trying to achieve. And as you can see, there is a glare and a few glares. This is kind of using a 3-point lighting system. You can see there's a light coming from this direction, a light coming from this direction, and a light coming from this direction. So let's get started. Go ahead and open up Blender. And get past the splash screen by just clicking off it. I'm going to turn on my screencast keys so that you can see what buttons I am pushing. I'm going to hit N right now to get rid of that panel. Next, hit the X button on your keyboard to delete this cube. Hit Shift A to add a new cube, or a new sphere. As you can see, this sphere has flat edges on it. Or flat faces. We want to change the shading to smooth. Now, it's harder to see each face. It's still a little bit visible, so what we will do is come over to the Modifier tab and click Add Modifier. Click Subdivision Surface. This creates more faces that are smaller. If you hit the Tab button, if you hit Apply in the Modifiers tab, in the Object mode, then when you hit Tab, you see that there are more faces. This is what we are trying to achieve. Because an eyeball is very smooth, we want this to look as realistic as possible. Next, let's split our screen into 2 separate spaces. To do that, you just click on the bottom left corner that has a couple lines in it and move it over. Then change right here, but on this one, change this to Node Editor. Because we are also doing this in cycles, change this to Cycles Render. As you can see, it slightly changed the look of the sphere, but not much. Next, click on the circle that has black and red triangles and click New. Next, what we need to do is I'm going to show you that this and this is pretty much the same thing. Some people, like me, prefer to use this because it is more visual and it seems like it gives you more options, but in reality it doesn't. They're exactly the same thing. So if you change this from a diffuse, which is the same as this right here, to a mix shader, it now changes this also. This is what we were looking for. If you would like to, you can either click shader, under the shader where it says none, you can click diffuse. This adds a diffuse shader on the left side. Hit Shift A over here and go to shader, glossy. This creates another one and is not visible over here yet. But if we connect the 2 shaders together in the mix shader, then it shows up over here and you can use its options. So either way you look at it, it is doing the same thing. Next, hit Shift A, or you can come over here under either normals and go to Shift A, input, not input, what is it I'm looking for? Texture, environment texture. For most textures, you could use the image texture. But for this, because a circle is the shape of an atmosphere, which is an environment texture is based off of, we can use it to texture this. First, connect the color to the color options on each glossy and the diffuse. Because the glossy is needed for the eye, we also want the color to go there too. Then next, open up the texture that I have provided in the description, and if you can't find it, it's probably in your downloads folder. If not, it will in the description. When you click on it, it will bring you to the full-size picture. Right click on it and hit Save Image As. You should be able to select where you put it. If you select a different location other than the downloads folder, navigate to where you saved it to. Next, if you come down here and viewport shading to rendered, most computers should be able to handle it and render this in live real time, which is really nice because you can navigate by holding down the middle mouse button by navigating around the circle. But you can see that the eyeball does not look right. First, what I'm going to do before I do anything else is tell Blender that I have a graphics card. If you have one, you should probably do the same. Change this from CPU to GPU compute. If that option is not available, you will have to go up here into File, User Preferences, and then in the System tab, select CUDA, and then GeForce, and then whatever your graphics card is. Select that and hit the X. Your render times will be remarkably faster. Next, to fix the eyeball, we need to change this setting right here. Because the image that I have provided is not an equirectangular image, it is a mirror ball, we want to select mirror ball. The difference is, an equirectangular is what you normally see on flat maps. It's kind of distorted in a weird shape, whereas a mirror ball is like laying an image straight, just flattening it and stretching it out, kind of like this image has done. As you can see, the front of it is normal, but as it goes out, everything gets stretched out a little bit this way. That is what a mirror ball usually does. Next, we want to try right-click on your eyeball and hit the R button. R is supposed to rotate the texture and the object, but as you can see, it does not look like it's rotating, where in reality it is rotating the ball, but the texture is not moving with it. We need to link the environment texture to the sphere. In an image texture, you would not normally have to do this, but because we are using an environment texture, we have to do this. So, to do that, hit Shift A and add a texture coordinate. Then, hit Shift A and also add a vector mapping. Connect your generated to vector and vector to vector. When you look over here, you'll see your eyeball and think, what has it done? But that is okay, because what we need to do is we need to tell the picture where it is at and how to map it onto the sphere. If we look at this picture one more time, we see that it's square. I know that's obvious, but if we put this square, see this little point right here? If we move this point and place it right here, that is where it's being mapped. And imagine the square being clear over here. We want to move it halfway down so that right here is hitting right here. To do that, we need to do that on all three axes so that it's moved down here. Well, it's moved down here, here, and on the third axis. So, to do that, we'll do 0.5, 0.5, 0.5. And as you can see, one more time, it has done nothing. And it's because I forgot to tell you that we need to change this to texture and not point. The texture affects the texture, and point, I'm not exactly sure what these three do, but they do different things. But what we're working with, we want the texture setting checked. Now look at your eyeball. It looks fantastic. One other thing that I would change is if I came over here, I can select color or non-color data. If I hit non-color data, the image looks more realistic to me. You can pick whichever you would like. If you like the vibrant look, you can hit color. If you like the more realistic look, you can hit non-color. Other textures may be different, but for this one, I'm going to pick non-color data. You choose what you feel like. I'm going to hit the 0 button, and it'll take me to the camera view. I will then right click on my eyeball one more time and hit R twice so that it will move on a trackball as if it's rotating in any direction as you move your mouse. I'm going to face the eyeball as close as it is looking towards me. Then what I will do is I'll click over here so that the cursor is not in my way. Then change this, because I think we're done here, change this to 3D view. And as you can see, if you move this, it will also live update over here, which is really nice. I'm going to hit 7 while my mouse is placed over here to bring me to the top view. Then I'm going to right click on this light and hit G as it lets me grab and move what I would like to. If I move it close, you can see that the glare or the shine is brighter. One other thing that I forgot to mention is if we go back to I'm going to move it out here a little bit. If we go back to the node editor and we right click on our eyeball, it'll bring back up all our settings that we had. But I think we want more shine to our eyeball. So on the glossy shader, we want to decrease the roughness as it makes it shiny. Go to whatever you please, but I think 0.06 or 7 is about right as it shines really bright. Then go back to your 3D view and move your light around until you see that it looks good. Next, go over to your light settings right here and click spot, as I like spots because you can see what they are shining on and you can direct the light. Hit show cone and decrease the size because you do not want it too large. You can decrease the size into whatever size you would like it to. You can go clear up to 180 or you can go all the way down to 1. I'm going to put it at about 24. You can put it anywhere though. Next, I'm going to turn this light into a camera so that we can look through it and see what it is shining on. So if you right click on the light, hit view, cameras, and set active object as camera, then you can see that you're looking through to the light. If you hit R twice, like you did with the eyeball to rotate on a trackball, it also uses all functionalities like R to rotate, G to grab, and S to size while you are in this camera view. Use the trackball to move and position your light until you think it looks good. You can click R once to rotate one view and R twice to rotate on a trackball. To get out of this view, just hold down your middle mouse button and navigate out. As you can see, this middle black line goes right through the ball. That means it is shining right on it. Next, you can look at this camera and see that the top triangle is not filled in and you can see through it. This is not good, as if you took a render, it will take the render from your light and it will not look right. So, what you need to do is right click on your camera, go to View, Cameras, set Active Object as Camera, and now your problem is fixed. As you can see, it is now filled in. And if you deselect it, it is still filled in with black. In our final product, you can see that there's light on a background. We will now create the background and the environment that this eyeball is in. To do that, the thing that I used was very simple. I used a cube. So Shift A, Mesh, Cube. Size it up with the S button so that your camera is inside, and also so that your light and camera, this light and this camera, are both inside the cube. This will create a room feeling. And you can do this in all different views, with the 7 being the top, 1 being front, and 3 being the side. So you can switch between those with your numpad. If you would like to, you can hit the Z button for wireframe mode and see that you have a cube that's clear out here and a camera and your light. Position this so that you can, with your eyeball centered. I might increase my size a little bit, as I like this light over here to look a little bit nicer. I'm going to hit Use Nose so we can control the strength of this light. I'm going to change it to 500. That creates a larger glare and a larger background light. I might even increase this to 600, as I like the light and I think it looks good. Over here, on this side of the screen, hit Shift D to duplicate. Move this light, as you just duplicated this light, over here and create a new one. Over here you can see that it has created a new glare. That is good. That's what we're looking for. Position this line right here to center upon your eyeball. Next, we don't want two lights that are shining exactly the same, so decrease this one to about 50 or 100. Let's try 50, and I think that looks pretty good. It's more to give it an atmosphere than anything. Then I'm going to increase the size and also the blend, as it makes the cube around it seem brighter. We are playing with 3-point lighting. To finish the third light, we have 1, 2, let's hit Shift D one more time and move it over behind. So it's almost going to be looking right at the camera. Hit R and rotate the light. Rotate it so that it is looking at the light and that you now have a 3-point lighting. If you would like to, go hit 1 on your numpad. We have all 3 lights lined up right here. I don't necessarily like that, and I'm going to move it down, move one of them down, and rotate it up so it is still looking at that light. As you can see, that middle line is still looking at the eyeball. That is what we are looking for. I'm going to also move this light. No, I think I want to move this light down a little bit also, and move it and check in the top view to see if they're all lined up too. This one is not lined up, so we're going to rotate it again and center it. I like the way that this has looked and the amount of light in the background that we have. To finish up this, I might right click on our eyeball and hit the S button to make it larger. So far, I think this eyeball looks really good, and I think we could call this done. In fact, I am. Thanks for watching this tutorial, and I hope you've had as much fun as I have. Hope to see you next time.